Okay, today guys, we're going to run through how to use encryption. So how to encrypt files and folders. You may want to encrypt sensitive files and folders to potentially protect them from unauthorized access. I'm going to show you a few different ways of doing that, as well as explaining the pros and cons of each. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to utilize BitLocker, which is Windows built-in encryption, file and drive encryption. We're then going to use, I'll show you an alternative or something that can actually be added on as well as BitLocker, and that's called VeraCrypt, which is a separate piece of software that can encrypt drives. And we're also going to take a look at a more advanced method which allows you to encrypt file by file, which is a PowerShell script called invoke AES encryption. Okay, so the first method is using the built-in BitLocker encryption that ships with Windows 10 and Windows 11 Enterprise and Pro edition. So generally speaking, if you're using Windows 10 or Windows 11 Home, you won't have access to BitLocker. However, you will be able to use alternative encryption methods, which will be explained further in this video. So what does having BitLocker enabled actually protect? There's this feeling of safety when BitLocker is running, that all of your files are encrypted and all safe. But what it really is there to protect is the transfer of your drive from one system to another system. So whether that be somebody physically stealing the hard drive from your PC and moving it to another system to attempt to read the contents of that drive, or it could be the transfer of a virtual encrypted drive to another system in an attempt to read those contents. So the way that it's kind of working is BitLocker's encrypting all of your files and folders, and it's keeping the key to that encryption in something called a TPM chip. A TPM chip is a physical chip inside the motherboard of your laptop or computer, which is unique to your computer and holds that decryption key. So if BitLocker is enabled and I went to your home and you gave me your hard drive with all of your sensitive files on there, I took your hard drive back to my place and put it into my computer, I wouldn't be able to read the contents of that hard drive without your physical TPM chip. So that's what's really being protected there. What it's not protected against is if someone has actually compromised your system and someone's actually in your computer as you, then they can just go and read the files as much as they like. They're not really protected in that sense. So if you're already logged in and somebody's compromised your computer, then they'll be able to simply view all of the files. Let's get to how to set up BitLocker encryption. You just set it up if you have the opportunity to set it up. The performance trade-off is very, very small, so you're not going to notice any difference in speed, but you are encrypting your files and folders. So the first thing we're going to do is going to click the start button. We're going to just type BitLocker. We're going to click enter on manage BitLocker. And you're going to see that it states BitLocker is off. You can just click the button saying turn on BitLocker. It's going to quickly check your PC's configuration. It's going to look at things like if you've got a TPM chip in your computer and the most effective way to set this up. So it's giving you a little bit of a rundown about what's going to happen. It's going to prepare your drive for BitLocker, and then it's going to encrypt the drive. We'll click next. We'll click next there. It's just giving you a little bit of a heads up. Back up any files before doing this, but we always recommend that when you are doing this, do this once you get your computer out of the box, right? And click next. Okay, we're going to now encrypt the drive. We'll click next. And this is important. It's going to ask us, how do we want to back up our recovery key? So should we actually be moving, let's say we get a new computer and we want to move this hard drive from this one to the new computer. The new computer, obviously having a new TPM chip inside, is not going to be able to read the contents. So the way that we would read those contents is by using our recovery key to access that. So the recovery key, they won't let you save that to a file that's going to be encrypted. So your options are save it to your Microsoft account on the cloud, save to a file like on a USB drive or on a separate hard drive. And you also have got the option of printing the recovery key as well. So you can print the recovery key and then send that to your printer and store that somewhere safe. Once that's saved, we're going to click next. Now we've got two options here. We can encrypt used disk space only, and then you've got encrypt entire drive. The difference between these two options, if you read the description, is basically if you've just taken your PC out of the box and you haven't really got anything saved on it just yet, then you only want to encrypt the used disk space only, because it will automatically encrypt as you go and add more files. If you're doing this after the fact, then you'd want to choose encrypt the entire drive. So it's a little bit slower. In this case, we're going to just use an example where perhaps it's a few months down the track, we've already saved some stuff. So we're just going to go with encrypt the entire drive and click next. Now, if you're planning only to be using this on Windows 10 or 11 PCs moving forward, then you can choose the new encryption mode. If you believe that you're going to be moving fixed drives around to older PCs using Windows XP or Windows Vista or anything like that, then you probably want to choose compatible mode. But in this case, we'll choose the new encryption mode, and we're going to run the BitLocker system check and click continue. Okay, you'll get restart required. We'll click that and we'll click restart now. Okay, so once that's restarted, we'll just check the process by pressing the Windows button, typing BitLocker again, and let's see where we're at. This PC doesn't have too much on there, so it's relatively quick, but you'll see that the BitLocker is now set up, and you can turn it off if you like by doing this. Now you can just continue on doing what you're doing, knowing that your files and folders are being encrypted. You'll see if you bring up the Explorer menu, click this PC, and you'll see that there's a lock currently on your drive, and it's unlocked. That's indicating that your BitLocker is open and you're ready to go. Once you turn off your computer, that lock is going to close. The second method we're going to run through is by installing the open source software called VeraCrypt. Now this is going to allow you to encrypt and decrypt volumes kind of on the fly. It's always good to have this in addition to BitLocker encryption, especially for those important and sensitive files or client information. So we'll download VeraCrypt and we'll set that up real quick. Right, so we're going to go on to visit our trusty Google. We're going to type in VeraCrypt download. Make sure you're downloading from the official website, so veracrypt.fr, as opposed to SourceForge or anything like that. It's good to be safe, you know what I mean? We'll click downloads and we're going to install the Windows executable.
A few moments later.
Cup of coffee.
A few moments later. A few moments later.
All right, let's run that installer. And we're going to click yes. English, okay. Accept the license. Read the license and terms. Read it. Make sure you read it. And then click next. We're going to click install, and we're just going to install it into program files and click install on that baby run. Should be very quick, and that's been successfully installed. Now you can consider making a donation. That's up to you. If you're a nice person and you're grateful, make a donation, and we'll click finish. Would we like to read the beginner's tutorial? No, we don't care about that because we got Ellen OS. All right, we should have VeraCrypt icon on our desktop. We're going to open her up and we're going to select create volume. Now, in this case, we're going to choose create an encrypted file container. We'll set up a standard VeraCrypt volume. The volume location, select file. We basically want to save this somewhere. So in this example, we're going to just save it in documents. We're going to call it my encrypted volume. and save. And we're going to click next. With our encryption algorithm, we're going to select AES. The hash algorithm, we'll choose SHA-512 and we'll click next. So what size do we want this volume? Let's give it 1 gig. You can choose whichever you like. It'll tell you how much free space you actually have. And we'll click next. And this is where we choose the volume password. So when it comes to this method of encryption, the encryption is really as strong as the encryption password or key that you set. So there are many automated crackers that can just run through common passwords to decrypt a volume. So you definitely don't want to set your password to something like password, which I foolishly am doing in this case, just to show you how stupid that would be. We're going to click next. And it will tell you, short passwords are easy to crack using brute force techniques. We recommend choosing a password consisting of 20 or more characters. Are you sure you want to use a short password? In this case, we are doing some silly things, so we're going to say yes, but you're definitely not going to say yes. You're going to choose a more difficult password. So, randomness, volume format randomness. Cool. Move your mouse around a little bit. Ooh, like that. And you'll see that the little bar at the bottom is collecting some randomness mouse movements. Move it as random as possible. This is going to help the cryptographic strength of the encryption keys. We're done. All right. And we're going to click format. The VeraCrypt volume has been successfully created. Grand. So once that's done, you'll see a little file in your documents called My Encrypted Volume. And you'll see it's been allocated roughly a gig. Now, how do we actually use that volume? Well, we open up the VeraCrypt icon on the desktop. And we select a volume here, a drive. We select a drive that we want to map this volume to. So let's choose the A drive. Obviously you want to choose one that's not being used currently. The C is being used currently. So in this case, we'll use the A drive. And we're going to select file here. And we're going to add in my encrypted volume. And then we're going to click the mount button. And it's going to ask us for that very complicated password that we chose in the setup, which was password. And we're going to click OK. And what's going to happen is it's going to mount that drive. Now, you'll see in your Explorer that you've literally got this new drive here, A. Okay, whatever you put in here is going to be part of the VeraCrypt drive, and therefore it will be encrypted. Now, at the moment, the drive is open. So what we'd basically do is, as you're working, let's say, I'm going to give you an example here. We're going to create a text document called "Can you read me?" All right, and we're going to put in here, this is a important piece of text. And we'll save it. Now what we're going to do is move that in to that drive A here. Now, similar to what BitLocker did before, BitLocker automatically encrypts and decrypts as you go. The difference with VeraCrypt is that you can dismount and mount whenever you like. So once you're done using anything in that particular volume, you can just click the dismount button and that drive's gone. Okay. The only way that someone else, whether they transfer your drive or actually hack your computer or compromise your system, the only way that they're going to be able to access that is if they can mount that volume and they know your password. So as a general rule, you mount the drive as you need it. If you need a file from your encrypted drive, click mount and put in your password. Okay, it's going to come up there. Boom. Here's your important document. You read it, you do whatever you need to do, Once you're done with using anything in that folder, you simply dismount. We're going to open Firefox. We're going to go google.com. And we're going to type in Google invoke AES encryption PowerShell. First result should be from PowerShell Gallery, and that's the function that we are going to make a copy of. So we'll just move that to the side. On our desktop, we'll go new, right click new, and we'll choose text document. We're going to call it invoke dash AES encryption, just to keep it kind of consistent. We're going to give it the same name as it's named here. So invoke AES encryption. At the moment, it's a text document, so we're going to replace that .text with PS1, which is a PowerShell script. Alrighty, we're going to right click, open with, and we'll just open it with Notepad for now. If you've got a text editor, even better, or a code text editor, even better. We will just grab all of this code from the very top all the way to the bottom. We're going to copy and we're going to paste it right there. File, save, exit. That's step one. We're going to jump out of the browser as we no longer need to utilize that anymore. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up PowerShell by pressing start and typing in PowerShell, Windows PowerShell. Okay, the first thing we've got to do is check our execution policy, right? So we're going to type get-execution policy. Let us know if we can run and execute scripts on PowerShell. In this case, it's set to remote signed, but yours might say restricted if you haven't changed it before. To amend the execution policy, all you need to type is set-execution policy -scope current user, and we'll set it to remote signed like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to now import the module that we've just made, the invoke AES encryption that we just put on the desktop. We'll go cd desktop, change directory desktop. We'll do directory if that helps you see and spell it better. We're going to go import dash module full stop / that's important, invoke dash AES encryption.ps1, exactly how it's written here, and press enter. If it works, you should see nothing. There should just be no errors. It should just come up with nothing like this. Now we can use invoke AES encryption just like this with its commands and switches. Obviously, without any switches or options, it's going to tell you you're missing some parameters here. So how can we use it? It's quite simple. You can actually go and visit the initial script that you saved, because at the top of the script, it gives you quite a few examples of how to use this. So here's an example of how to encrypt a string of text. There's an example of how to encrypt text but output it as a base 64 encoded cipher. And there's also, which are probably more commonly used, examples on how to encrypt and decrypt particular files. So that's the one we're going to use in this example. We're going to create a fake dummy file text document called important credit card info.txt. We'll open it up. Now I'm going to pretend that this is my credit card number, because for whatever reason I keep that on the computer, like that. And then I'm going to do expiry, and I 1/24, and my CVV 767, right? We'll save that. That's not real, so don't try and buy anything with that. And we're going to encrypt it. So we're going to type in invoke -AES encryption. Okay. Dash mode is encrypt. It's the mode we want to use. Dash key. This is our passphrase, or our appreciate key, that's going to be used to decrypt and encrypt files. And in this example, we'll use a pretty bad one just for examples purposes, but yours will be a lot more complicated. We'll put password, we'll put it in quotations like that. And we'll do dash path, and we will put the file name of our little credit card info file, which is important credit card info dot text, and we'll put that in quotations. Okay, and you'll see that that's now been encrypted. It'll say encrypted to creditcardinfo.text.aes, which is there. If we try and open the encrypted file, we see nothing but gibberish, which is what we want. Now, the first thing to do is make sure that that's been encrypted properly, all right? So before you go and delete the original text document, decrypt this one first to make sure that it is actually working correctly. So you go, just reverse it, invoke AES encryption, dash mode, decrypt, key, the key we chose was password, the path is important credit card info dot text dot AES, that's the file that was created, the encrypted file. We'll press enter, and that file's now been decrypted there. We open that up, and the fact that we can read it is good. It's showing that it is actually working properly. So we will now delete the original file here. So we're just cruising around with the encrypted file. So if somebody got into our computer and they say, oh, that's interesting, important credit card info, and they open it, they're going to see nothing but gibberish. But when we need to see it, we can open up PowerShell, type in invoke AES encryption, mode decrypt, key, in this case was password, which was bad, path important credit card info.text.aes, and quote enter. And we get our beautiful original file here, which we open, and we can see our credit card information again. Now we can just delete the original and keep that encrypted file there. So obviously you would use a more secure password than password. That's how you can invoke AES encryption, the PowerShell script, to encrypt file by file, kind of as you go. Perhaps you could use a mixture of the three. You could use the BitLocker encryption to encrypt the fixed drives. You could use VeraCrypt to encrypt perhaps your business information or client information, and you can use the invoke AES encryption to encrypt, your personal documents, identification documents, and things like that don't get used too often. Just make sure you know your encryption key, because if you don't, they're gone. You won't be able to get those back.